Priyakaro, Karunavataro. Yeah. Adanu Lambita Bujo. Their arms go down below their knees. And Akabatato, their bodies are golden form. Sankirtanaika Pitaro, the fathers of Sankirtana. Karunavataro. Oh, you're giving me a... Okay. So we've gone to Antardvip, Simantadvip, Godrumdvip. Now, I'm going a little ahead there. We talked about Surabhi's appearance on Godrumdvip after Indra was still feeling ashamed, and Surabhi brought him to Godrumdvip, and he got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya there. But so we mentioned that, but we didn't read the last 2 pages. But we're going to go forward ahead to Madhyadvip. Yeah. So this is Godrumdvip. Yeah. So in Godrumdvip also, because Surabhi was there by a tree. That tree was a banyan tree. That's called Godrum. Tree is go. Pakao is go. Tree is drum. And so there's a part in Godrumdvip. It's called Surabhi Kunj. What is a kunj, Bhakti Sean?
I think it's a lake. There's like a pond.
No.
Oh.
That's a kunda with a D. This is a kunja with a J. What is a kunj?
Like a forest.
Yes. So it's a or a garden, a bower. So there's Kunja Bihari as Krishna's Kunja Bihari. Yeah. So this is Surabhi Kunj, is a little grove where Surabhi stays on Godrumdvip. Okay, so we're going to go for now. We said the prayer to Lord Chaitanya Nityananda. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we have this on the screen. We have Madhyadvip. Madhya, remember Madhya, represents Smaranam, or remembering the holy name of Lord, the holy name of the Lord. A couple of notable places mentioned here: the Panchaveni, Gauranga Setu. This is the place where the holy river Ganges confluences with the other holy rivers, Alakanda, Mandakini, Jamuna, Manasi, Ganga, and Saraswati. Also, the forest of Naimisharanya. This is not there's this forest of Naimisharanya near Lucknow, but this Naimisharanya is an expansion of that one. It's not the same one, but this forest of Naimisharanya, where many sages and Lord Shiva heard the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Sutta Goswami. That's here in Madhyadvip. So we'll read about that. Thank you. So there you can see where it is. We're going around. We're going around. Hare Krishna, and we're gonna try to finish Madhyadvip, Koladvip, and Ritudvip today. We'll see how far we get. Next, we want to go start chapter 9. Chapter 9. Yeah. All glories to Lord Gaurachandra and Prabhu Nityananda. All glories to Gadadhar and the devotees headed by Srivas. All glories to Navadvip, the topmost abode of devotees. When night had ended, Sri Nityananda, intoxicated with songs of gold, went off with the devotees. They were absorbed in love of God and distributed that supreme bliss along the way. That's Sankirtan, right? Coming to Madhyadvip, Nityananda smiled and said, This is Majida Gram. The 7 rishis stayed here a long time and engaged in worshipping Gauranga. Majida Gram. In Satya Yuga, the rishis began singing the glories of Gaur in their father's presence. Who's their father? These are the Sapta rishis. Lord Brahma, correct, very good. Completely absorbed, they begged for the eternal treasure of Gaur Prema. Lord Brahma was pleased with his 7 sons and told them, go to Navadvip and sing the glories of Gaur, then you will easily attain Prema. Whoever gets the mercy of this Dham gets the association of devotees. Then by worshipping in the association of devotees, you will become absorbed in Krishna Prema. That is the supreme activity. Whoever gets attraction for Navadvip will receive the benediction of living in Braj. To live in the spiritual Dham and recite the name of Gora is the only aspiration of the devotees. The 7 rishis took their father's instruction to heart and came to this place. We're talking about Navadvip. So there's a footnote here, the 7 sages during this Manu. What's the name of this Manu? Who knows?
Vaivasvata.
Very good. Vaivasvata Manu. 7th Manu. The first Manu is Swayambhuva. The previous Manu is Chakshusha Manu. And each Manu, there's a different set of rishis, except there's some, like the 4 Kumars are transcendental rishis. They are there for all those Manus. When they arrived, they engaged in dancing and chanting the name of Hari. They begged for Gaur Prema while singing the Lord's glories in a loud voice. O Gaur Hari, be merciful and reveal yourself to us just once. Being offenders, we have followed many paths, but now we are taking to the path of devotional service. The rishis underwent austerities and became fully situated in devotional service by worshipping Gauranga. They completely gave up eating and sleeping and simply recited the name of Gaur. Around noon, Madhyana, the all-merciful Lord Gauranga appeared before the rishis. The Lord was as brilliant as 100 suns, and he attracted the minds of the yogis. He appeared with the Panchatattva. How extraordinary was that form? His form had a beautiful golden hue. Kanukaba Dhato. Around his neck was a garland of flowers, and his glittering ornaments illuminated all directions. His glance was beautiful, his hair was long and curled, and a dot of sandalwood decorated his forehead. He wore 3-fold cloth, a shining thread, and his neck was decorated with a beautiful jasmine garland. Seeing this form, the rishis were enchanted, and they humbly petitioned, we surrender to your lotus feet, please give us devotion. This is the prayer. Oh, what happened? We went to the next page too quickly, I think. Yes. Gaur Hari replied, listen, rishis, give up all desires, the chains of Gyan and Karma, and just discuss topics of Krishna. Within a short time, I will unfold my Leela in Navadvip. How is this a short time? That was like Satya Yuga was 1,000,000 years ago. But in cosmic time, it's short. Okay. I will unfold my Leela in Navadvip. When they see my pastimes of Nam Sankirtan, then you will see them. But now keep the subject a secret. Worship Krishna at Kumar Hatta, at the ghat made by you. When Lord Gauranga disappeared, the 7 rishis went to Kumar Hatta. That's also in Madhyadvip. And this place now you see 7 tilas or hillocks. These 7 hills are arranged in the same pattern as the 7 rishis in the sky, that they circumambulate the pole star. By living here, one will receive Gaur Hari without having to undergo a strict process of rules and regulations. To the south of this, see one stream, the very pure Gomati River. Beside it is Naimisharanya. At the beginning of Kali Yuga, the rishis headed by Shaunaka heard about Gauranga from the mouth of Sutta. That's in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Whoever reads the Puranas here during the month of Kartik becomes free from all desires, becomes absorbed in the pastimes of Gauranga, and easily attains Vrindavan. This last Kartik, they did a reading in the other Namisharanya, but they could do the reading here as well. Whoever reads the Puranas, during the month of Kartik becomes free from all desires. Giving up his bull carrier, Shiva once mounted Sri Hansavahan, Brahma Swan, and came here to hear the recitation of the Puranas. Along with his followers, he sang the glories of Gaur. While singing and dancing, the followers surrounded Shiva and shouting the name of Gaurhari through heaps of flowers all around. On hearing the words of Nityananda, Jiva became spiritually excited and began rolling on the ground in ecstasy as he tasted the influence of the Dham. The devotees spent the day there in the association of Nityananda, and the next day they went to take darshan of Pushkara. Bhakti Vinod, within whom the worshipable Janava and Nitai have appeared. That's an interesting statement, isn't it? Sings the glories of Nadia and the sweetness of the devotees while tasting transcendental flavors. So apparently, Janava and Nitai appeared within the heart of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Chapter 10. So Brahmana Pushkara is also there. We'll see in Madhya Dvip, and then we'll cross the Ganges because there were four islands on the east side of the Ganges, and then we'll cross the Ganges and go to, after Madhya Dvip is Kola Dvip. So here we're still in Madhya Dvip. All glories to Gauranga and Nityananda, all glories along with Advaita, all glories to Gadadhar and Srivas Pandit, all glories to Navadvip, the abode of pure bhakti, and all glories to the names of Gaur and Nityananda. O souls of Kali Yuga, please listen. Give up karma and gyan, give up all dharmas and dharmas and adharmas. Sarva dharman parityajya. And just worship Nitai and Chaitanya, for they are oceans of mercy. They bountifully give out the bliss of Vrindavan Dham. When the darkness lifted, Nityananda Rai and Jiva continued on pilgrimage. He explained as follows: see this enchanting village? Now everyone calls this place Brahmanapur, but in the scriptures it is named Brahmana Pushkara. The mysteries of this place are very confidential. Has any of you been to Brahman Pushkar? No. Well, the original Pushkar Tirtha is in Rajasthan, about 80 miles south of Jaipur. But this is an expansion of that in the, because in Navadip, all the different holy places are there. In Satya Yuga, a Brahmana named Divadas gave up family life and went on pilgrimage, like we're doing. Pushkar Tirtha was very dear to him, but during his wandering, he came to Navadvip. While here, he dreamt that if he stayed, he would receive a great treasure. The Brahmin built a cottage and lived here until he became old. Though he wanted to see Pushkara, he found it impossible to move about. In this situation, he began to weep. Now I'll never see Pushkar. The personality of Pushkar then mercifully appeared before Divadash in the form of a Brahmin and said, don't cry. Before you is a splendid pond. Take bath there once and you will see Pushkar before your eyes. The Brahmin took his bath in the pond and received transcendental eyes to see Pushkar before him. The Brahmin cried and said to Pushkar, I have given you so much trouble. Pushkar replied, listen, fortunate Brahmin, I am not coming from far off. I am present here. This Navadvip is the embodiment of all tirthas, which reside in and render service to Navadvip. I have exhibited one form in the west, Jaipur is west of Navadvip, but I myself always reside here. The results one attains by bathing 100 times there are achieved by one bath here. Therefore, whoever gives up Navadvip with a desire to go to other holy places is a fool and rascal. Ooh. If one attains the fruit of traveling to all the holy places, then he may reside in Navadvip. See that raised area that resembles a market? Kurukshetra and Brahmavarta are present there. Saraswati and Drishadvati flow on its two sides. It is splendid and gives me much punya. O Brahmin, I will tell you a very secret thing. In a short time, ecstasy will be given out here from Navadvip, right? Gauranga will appear at Mayapur in Shachi Devi's house, and he will freely distribute prema. In all these places, the Lord and his devotees will dance madly in the ecstasy of Sankirtan. The Lord will perform kirtan along with the devotees of all his previous incarnations. The whole universe will drown in the flood of prema. That's what's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Other than the false logicians, everyone will receive the gift of love. O Divadas, whoever lives in the Dham with firm faith will attain the feet of gold. Although the evil-minded may worship Krishna for millions of years, they will not get attraction for the holy name. But if one worships Gauranga, all one's wicked sentiments will be uprooted, and very soon one will attain Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So this is something we need to know. Yeah. That person will attain his spiritual body and serve the divine couple in a secluded grove under the shelter of the Sakhis. O Brahmin, stay here and worship, then you will see Lord Gauranga and his associates. Saying this, Pushkaraj departed. Then a voice from the sky said, what's that called? A voice from the sky?
Akashvani.
Akashvani, that's right. A voice from the sky said, announced, the glorious age of Kali is coming. Glorious, it says here. At that time, you will again take birth and swim in the ocean of Gauranga's kirtan. Hearing this, the Brahmin was freed from anxiety and stayed on the shore of the pond, worshipping the Lord. While Sri Jiva was listening to the story, they entered Uchchahata in Kurukshetra. Sri Nityananda spoke again. All the devas along with the tirthas came here to Kurukshetra. Whatever tirthas are in the region of Brahmavarta and Kurukshetra are all present here. Pritudaka and all other holy places reside here and serve Navadvip. The fruit attained by living in Kurukshetra for 100 years is obtained by residing here for one night. The devas came here and set up a market, Hatta, for discussing Gauranga's pastimes. Therefore, this place is called Hatta Danga. By seeing this place, one will receive the ocean of prema. This is one boundary of Navadvip. Now, let us cross the Ganges. Okay, where are we going now? Where are we going now?
Koladvip.
That's right, Koladvip. So it's not, the chapters aren't arranged by islands. So they're arranged by days, it looks like. So now we're crossing the Ganges. We've gotten Antardvip, Simantardvip, Godrumdvip, Madhyadvip. Now we're going into Koladvip.
I have been to the Puskar.
Ah, very nice, very nice.
There is a pond there, and I didn't take bath, but I washed my hands and legs. And
I have good.
A picture of Brahma with two wives.
Yeah, it's the place that's the main place where people worship Brahma. Nowhere else they worship Brahma. And yeah, Pushkar means he took some flower. It's supposed to be a replica of the lotus that he sits on at the beginning of creation. And he took some flowers in his hand and threw them there at Pushkar Tirtha. So those flowers from Brahma's hand became three kundas. There's supposed to be three kundas. Maybe they know only one now, but there used to be three kundas there. That's Pushkar. Push means flowers, Pushpa, flower, and Kara is hand. Pushkar.
There is a temple for Brahma also, Prabhu, there.
Yes.
I had been there and I took shower also there.
Many temples.
Before
main temple is the one for Brahma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brahma Kapalam also.
Very good. Okay, Koladweep. As they crossed at noon, Nityananda Prabhu looked like the sun rising from the horizon of Koladweep. Koladweep, this is where Kuliagram comes from, which is the present Navadweep. While on the way to Kulia, Pahadapur, Nityananda Prabhu said to Jiva, the order in which we have proceeded till now is the authorized order of Parikrama with the best effect. When Sri Chaitanya brought his associates to purify the Kazi with an evening kirtan contingent of 14 mridangas, his starting point was Mayapur. So the period of one night, which became one night of Brahma due to the sweet kirtan, Gauranga wandered through his land. And you know what day that was? Anybody know what day that this kirtan took place? At least started? No. It was holy.
Oh, holy.
Because in the description by Vrindavan Das Thakur, he mentions that the devotees, many of the devotees were covered with various colors. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that this means the day was holy, which was the same day as the anniversary of Lord Chaitanya's appearance. Gauranga wandered through his land. After that, every Ekadashi, my Lord went on Sankirtan, wandering over the sacred islands. Sometimes he wandered over the 5 kroshas of Antardweep, and sometimes, according to his desire, he wandered 8 kroshas. Kroshas, 2 miles. From his home, he went first to Barakorna Ghat, then around Balal Dighi, and then to Sridhar's house. That's Simantardweep, right? From there, he would go to the edge of Antardweep and thus easily complete a 5 krosha tour. From Simulia, he would go to the Kazi's house. Then after talking to Sridhar, he would go to Gadi Gacha, Godruma, and then to Majida, Madhyadweep. Crossing the Ganges at that point, just like they're doing, he would go to Paradanga and Chinadanga on the bank of the Ganges. Then, crossing the Ganges again, he would return home, to Antardweep, completing 8 kroshas. The complete parikrama is 16 kroshas, and if that is done, the Lord is pleased. This is the tour I am taking you on. There is no equal to this. Within this tour, you will see the 12 forests of Vrindavan extending over 16 kroshas. This tour ends after 9 nights and is thus called Navaratra Parikrama in the scripture. One does the 5 krosha parikrama in one day, and the 8 krosha parikrama is completed after 3 nights. The first night is spent in Mayapur, the second night in Godruma, which we did, and the third night at Pulina, the opposite bank of the Ganges. That's Rudra. Hearing this instruction on the method of parikrama, Jiva Mahashai could not contain his love. Desiring to attain the lotus feet of Nitai and Janava, this worthless pauper describes the glories of Nadia. Okay, chapter 11. We're leaving this off to Bhakta Sean. Hare Krishna. And I'm going to comment something.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me okay?
Good.
Okay, great. All glories to Sri Chaitanya. All glories to Nityananda. All glories to Sri Advaita Prabhu and the devotees of Lord Chaitanya headed by Srivas. All glories to Gaurabhumi, the essence of all abodes, where Sri Chaitanya descended with the holy name. Nityananda spoke, "Listen, everyone. This is Panchaveni, where 5 rivers join the Ganges. The Bhagirathi mixes with the Mandakini and the Alakananda and the Saraswati.
Okay.
Sorry, that was hard for me to say.
Gotcha.
And the Saraswati flows here, hidden from view. From the west, the Yamuna flows along with the Bhogavati. The Manasa Ganga also quickly flows there. This place is called Mahaprayag by the rishis, who performed millions of sacrifices here along with Lord Brahma. The glories of this place are incomparable. If one takes bath here, he will not take another birth. Who can describe the glories of this place? All other tirthas become like dried up rivers in comparison. One who leaves his body here on earth, in the air or in the water, will attain Sri Goloka Vrindavan. This place, known as Kulia Pahada, is situated on the bank of the Ganges and is raised up like a mountain. This place is called Koladweep in the scriptures. Now hear one story from Satya Yuga. A young Brahmana named Vasudev was always engaged in the service of Varaha. As he worshipped the form of Varaha, he always prayed to the Lord in these words: "Please be merciful and appear before me. Let my eyes in life be successful." Saying this, he cried and rolled on the ground. "If my Lord does not show himself, my life is worthless." Shortly thereafter, the merciful Lord showed himself to Vasudev in his form as a boar. His body was decorated with ornaments, and his feet, neck, nostrils, face, and eyes were all attractive. His body was as tall as a mountain. Seeing him, the Brahmana thought himself very fortunate. He fell on the earth and offered his respects. Crying and confused, he rolled on the ground. Seeing the Vipra's devotion, Varaha sweetly said, "O Vasudev, as you are my devotee, I am satisfied by your worship. When Kali Yuga comes, I will display my pastimes here. Hear my words. In the three worlds, there is no comparison to Navadweep. Though it is hidden now, it is my very dear abode. The scriptures confirm that all holy places, such as Brahmavarta, reside here. The place where Brahma performed a sacrifice and I appeared to kill Hiranyaksha with my tusks, that holy place is present here, where I have appeared now. By serving Navadweep, all tirthas are served, and by living in Navadweep, the fruit of living it at all other tirthas is attained. You are fortunate to serve me in Navadweep. When Gauranga advents, you will be born here again. You will see the Mahasankirtan and the astounding form of Gauranga." After speaking these words, Varaha disappeared, and the Vipra researched the meaning of the Lord's words. Being a great Pandita, Vasudev scrutinized the scriptures and thus clearly understood that during the reign of Vaivasvata Manu, at the beginning of Kali Yuga, Lord Gauranga would manifest his pastimes at Nadia. The sages kept this secret, but they indicated by hints so that intelligent men could understand. After the Lord manifested his pastimes on earth, the scriptural evidences would also become clear. Thus, the Brahmana received the hint about the secret truths of Gaur. In great bliss, the Brahmana performed Sankirtana. He constantly sang the name of Gaura within his mind. After seeing the mountainous form of Varaha, Vasudev carefully decided to call this place Koladweep, Parvata. Kola, boar, Parvata, mountain. But it is now known as Parvata. The devotees know that this is Giri Govardhan of Vrindavan. Sea to the north is Bahulavana, whose wonderful effulgence spreads out in all directions. O son of Vallabha, in Vrindavan, the 12 forests come in a particular sequence, but here they are not in the same order. By the Lord's desire, the sequence here is reversed. One should see the forest in the order that they are arranged here, for the change in the sequence enhances one's prema. Going a little further, Nityananda again said, See here, Samudragada, O wise one, both Dwarkapudi and Gangasagara are directly present here. Samudra Sen, a king and great devotee, held Krishna as all in all. When Bhima came here with his soldiers to conquer all opponents, he surrounded Samudragada. The king knew that Krishna was the only resort of the Pandavas and that when they were in danger, he would come to their rescue. He thought that he could get Bhima to show some fear and cry out. Then Krishna would appear, being merciful to his devotees. He will be kind and come to this servant's country, and I will easily see the blackish form of Krishna with my own eyes. Thinking like this, he gathered together his soldiers, elephants, horses, and foot soldiers, and went to battle. He began firing his arrows while remembering Krishna. Bhima was very oppressed by the shower of arrows, and in great danger, he called for Krishna within his mind. O Lord, protect your Bhima. Give me shelter at your lotus feet. I cannot fight with Samudra Sen. If he were to defeat me, that would be humiliating. O merciful Krishna, you are the Lord of the Pandavas. So if I am defeated, it will be very shameful news. Hearing the plaintive call of Bhima, Krishna appeared on the battlefield. No one could see that form except the king. The complexion of his youthful form was like the color of a new cloud. Although around his neck hung a garland, and on his head a crown sparkled. His wonderful form was covered with yellow garments, and his limbs were decorated with beautiful ornaments. Seeing that form, the king fainted in ecstasy. After controlling himself, he revealed his desire to the Lord. O Krishna, you are the Lord of the universe, the deliverer of the fallen. Seeing me so fallen, you have appeared here. Everyone sings the glories of your pastimes, and hearing that, I desire to see them. But my vow was that you should appear in Navadvip. Now that I see your enchanting form here, I will never leave Navadvip. You have mercifully upheld my vow by appearing in the form of Krishna in Navadvip. But my desire goes even further. Please become Gauranga before my very eyes. As he looked on, the king beheld the sweet pastimes of Radha and Krishna. In the forest of Kumuda, Krishna and his friends performed their afternoon activities of going to herd the cows. Then, in an instant, this Leela disappeared, and he saw Gauranga with his devotees in a huge kirtan. Gauranga was dancing and singing. His brilliant golden complexion was most enchanting. His eyes rolled as if due to intoxication, and his mind was agitated with love. When he saw this, the king considered his great fortune and offered prayers at the Lord's lotus feet. In a few moments, however, this all vanished. Deprived, the king began to weep. Bhima had not been able to see this incident and thought that the king had suddenly become afraid of his prowess. And the king, who was completely satisfied, simply begged to pay his tax. Bhima took the levy and went off to other places. The whole world sings the praises of Bhima, conqueror of all directions. That incident took place at Samudragada on the edge of Navadvip. Even Brahma cannot know the glories of this place. Sorry, I lost my place. The ocean once took shelter of the Janavi and came here to serve the Lord's feet with devotion. Janavi said, O ocean, very soon my Lord will stay in a forest on your shore. The ocean answered, listen, goddess, the son of Sachi will never leave Navadvip. Although he will stay for some days on my shores, he will remain here unseen to the common eye. This Navadvip is the eternal abode of the Lord. All the Vedas sing of his manifest and unmanifest pastimes here. O beautiful one, I will stay here under your shelter and serve Gauranga in Navadvip. Thus, the milky ocean stayed at Navadvip, contemplating always the eternal pastimes of Gauranga. Nityananda Prabhu then came to
Champahata.
Champahata. Nityananda Prabhu then came to Champahata, and the party took rest at Vaninata's house. In the afternoon, as they toured Champahata, Nityananda Prabhu said, listen, son of Vallabha, there was once a Kampaka forest at this beautiful place, which is a portion of Kadiravana of Vrindavan. Kampakalata Saki takes Kampaka flowers.
Champak. It's always C. In Sanskrit or Bengali, the C is always CH. Champak.
Okay, Champak flowers. Strings, garlands, and offers them to Radha and Krishna as her eternal pastime. When Kali Yuga grew in influence, capitalists moved here and eagerly took the flowers. They set up a hut or market and sold the champaka flowers to the villagers and townsfolk. Therefore, this enchanting place is called Champakata, or more commonly, Chanpahati. When Lakshmana Sen was the king of Nadia, Jayadev was one of his subjects in Navadvip. He built a hut on the bank of Balal Dirgika and peacefully lived there with his wife, Padma. He wrote the Dasha Avatara poem there, which came into the king's hands. The king read the poem with great relish and inquired who had written it. Govardhan Acharya told the king the great poet Jayadev had written it. The king asked where he lived, and Govardhan told him Jayadev stays in Navadvip. Hearing this, the king secretly searched and arrived in the night at Jayadev's house. The king entered the cottage, dressed as a penniless Vaishnav. The king soon introduced himself and begged the poet to come to this place. Jayadev, being very detached from materialism, could not agree to go to the house of a materialist. He answered the king, I will give up your kingdom and go elsewhere. Association with materialists is not auspicious. I will cross the Ganges and go to Nilachala, Jagannath Puri. The king said, listen to me, Prabhu. You should never leave Navadvip. Your words should remain true, but my wish should also be fulfilled. O Prabhu, kindly do what you must in such a way that I may also be favored. Across the Ganges is the enchanting Champahata. Stay there for a few years. I will not go there as I please. But I may see your lotus feet only when you desire. Hearing the king's words, the great poet agreed and immediately replied, though you are endowed with so much wealth and such a kingdom, you are a devotee of Krishna and not bound to the material world. I called you a materialist to test you, but you have tolerated it. Thus, I know that you are a devotee of Krishna. Though accepting material things, you remained unattached. I will remain sometime in Champahata, and you can come secretly, giving up your opulent position. The king very happily had his ministers build Jayadev a cottage in Champahata. Jayadev stayed there for some time and worshipped Krishna according to the process of Rag Marga. Padmavati would bring heaps of champaka flowers, which Jayadev would offer to Krishna. In great love, the poet worshipped Krishna, who then appeared before Jayadev with a complexion the color of the champaka flower, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold. The shining beauty of a million moons would have been put to shame by his beautiful face. He had curly hair and a garland of flowers around his neck. His arms were long, his effulgence illuminated the room. Seeing that form of Gauranga, Jayadev fainted with tears streaming from his eyes, while Padmavati also fell to the earth unconscious. The Lord lifted the couple up with his two lotus hands and spoke nectarian words. Both of you are my exalted devotees. Therefore, I desire to give you my darshan. Very soon, I will take birth in Nadia in the womb of Sachi. With all the devotees of all the avatars, I will distribute the gift of prema and Krishna Kirtan. After 24 years, I will take sannyas and live in Nilachala. There, in the association of the devotees and overcome with prema, I will continuously taste the poems of your Gita Govinda, for it is very dear to me. You will return to this Navadvip Dham after death. This I say for certain. Now both of you go to Nilachala, where you will attain love of God by worshiping Lord Jagannath. After speaking, Gauranga disappeared, and they both fainted in separation. When they recovered, they began to weep profusely. While weeping, they humbly stated, "What a form we have seen! How can we live in his absence? Why did the Lord order us to leave Nadia? We must have committed some offense here. This Navadvip Dham is fully spiritual. Just to think about leaving, we are becoming disturbed. It would have been better to be a bird or a beast in Navadvip, for then we could stay a long time and always meditate on the Dham. We can give up living, but we cannot give up Navadvip, for the attachment is too deep. O Lord Gauranga, give us your mercy. Give us shelter at your lotus feet so we may stay here." As they were crying, they heard a voice say, "Do not be sorrowful, but go to Nilachala. There are two things to keep your heart undisturbed. Some time before, you were both thinking of going to stay in Nilachala for some time. The Lord had to fulfill that wish. Lord Jagannath is eager for your darshan. By pleasing him on leaving your body, you will again come to Navadvip and remain here eternally." Hearing that, the two immediately left. While going, they turned back and glanced once more at Navadvip. As they went, tears flowed from their eyes, and in distress, they spoke to the residents of Navadvip. "Please bestow your mercy on us. We are offenders. Please purify us." As they proceeded further on, they repeatedly looked back at Navadvip, which shines like an 8-petaled lotus. After going some distance, Navadvip was no longer visible, and they crossed out of Gaurabhumi, weeping as they went. Arriving at Nilachala some days later, they were pleased to have darshan of Lord Jagannath. "O Jiva, this is the place of Jayadev. Only a raised portion of earth remains. This is the story the old people tell." Seeing Jayadev's place, Jiva began weeping as he rolled on the ground in ecstatic love. Fortunate are Jayadev and Padmavati, and glorious is Gita Govinda in their attachment to Krishna. Be merciful to me and give me one drop of the ocean of prema that Jayadeva enjoyed. Saying this, Jiva fell to the ground and rolled in the dust at Nityananda's feet. That night, they stayed in Vaninatha's house. where Vaninatha and his family attended to Nityananda Prabhu. Aspiring for the shade of the lotus feet of Nitai and Janava, this vile, worthless one sings this glorification of Nadia.
Hare Krishna. So it's 6:15. There's the we finished now. That was Kola Dweep, and we have the Ritu Dweep is very short. So I propose we do Ritu Dweep should just be 5 minutes. Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Chapter 12, description of Ritu Dweep and Radha Kund. All glories to Shri Chaitanya Chandra and Prabhu Nityananda, all glories to Advaita and Gadadhar, all glories to the devotees headed by Srivas. All glories to the house of Jagannath Mishra, all glories to Navadvip, the topmost abode. When night lifted, the devotees raised their bodies and called out, Nitai Gaur. Then leaving Champahata behind them, they blissfully went on. From this point, Vaninath was a devotee of Lord Chaitanya, accompanied Nityananda saying, when will that day come when I shall have the pleasure to accompany Nityananda on Parikrama to Gauranga's house in Mayapur? They came to Ratupur and saw the beauty of that town. Sri Nityananda said, we have now come to Ritudvip. Now they're at Ritudvip. This place is extremely attractive. The trees are bending down their heads in respect. The breeze is blowing gently and the flowers are blooming everywhere. The humming of the bees and the fragrance of the flowers intoxicate the travelers' minds here. As he was saying this, Nityananda became like a madman and exclaimed, quickly, bring my horn. The calves have gone far off and Krishna is fast asleep and won't come. He is acting like a baby. Where are Subal and Dham? That's Sridham. And all alone I cannot go and herd the cows. Shouting, Kanai, Kanai, Nityananda jumped a few yards. Seeing his state, the devotees immediately supplicated at Nityananda's feet, O Prabhu Nityananda, your brother Gaura Chandra is no longer here. He has taken sannyas and gone to Nilachal, leaving us poor beggars. Upon hearing those words, Nityananda became dejected and fell to the ground crying. You have put us in such sorrow, Kanai, my brother. You have taken sannyas and left us to go to Nilachal. I will not continue my life. I will jump in the Jamuna river. Saying this, Sri Nityananda lost consciousness. Sensing Nityananda Prabhu's elevated state of spiritual emotion, they began to chant the holy names. After 2 hours had passed, Nityananda still did not rise. Finally, when the devotees began chanting the glories of Gauranga, Nitai awoke. This is the place of Radha Kund, he exclaimed. What island?
Ritudvip.
Ritudvip, yeah. This is the place of Radha Kund, he exclaimed. Here in the afternoon, Gaur Hari would perform kirtan with his associates. Look at the brilliance of Shyam Kund, which attracts the minds of everyone in the universe. And look, here and there are the Sakhi's groves. In the afternoon, Gauranga would become immersed in singing Krishna's glories and satisfy all by distributing prema. Know that in the 3 worlds there is no equal to this place where the devotees worship the Lord. Whoever lives here will get love of God, which will soothe the burning fire of material life. That day, the devotees stayed there and drowned in love of God as they called out Gauranga's name. Staying there in Ritudvip, they passed the whole day and night, worshipping the moon-like Lord Chaitanya. The next day, Nityananda Prabhu, dancing all the while, came to Vidyanagar, a splendid place attractive to munis. This gladdened the devotees. Holding the devotees' feet and begging from them the treasure of Krishna Bhakti, this worthless and unqualified Bhakti Vinod, whose only wealth is the lotus feet of Nitai and Janava, sings the glories of Nadia. Hare Krishna, Nitai Gaur Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Janadvip, Modadundvip, Rudra Dweep, 3 left. So we're here just at the edge of between this Ritu Dweep and Janu Dweep. So we have three islands left. What was the just quickly? What was the reason that Madhya Dweep got that name?
Majdiya.
Yeah, which is?
Lord
Majdi.
Varaha. Lord Varaha.
Varaha.
No.
No.
Madhya, because Lord Chaitanya appeared to those 7 rishis in the middle of the day.
Middle
Madhya.
Madhya.
Yeah. And how about Kola Dweep?
Lord Varaha.
That's Varaha. Kola means boar. Yeah. So okay. So we don't know yet about Ritu Dweep. We didn't get Ritu Dweep. We'll have to research that. Okay, Prabhus. Thank you very much. Yes.
A quick question. Several times it gave reference to the I guess superiority of Navadvip Dham and the holy places within Navadvip Dham. That I think at one point they said bathing here would be 100 times better than going to the other location.
Ramana Pushkar, yeah.
Yeah, Ramana Pushkar. Early in the beginning, we were reading how the other holy dhams, they, I guess, lose effulgence as Kali Yuga goes on, but Navadvip Dham expands in effulgence.
Yeah, because it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur says they become weaker. And so if your question is, well, I should let you ask your question then.
Well, yeah, so there's a question. Is that the reason why Navadvip Dham is being considered? You'd rather take your visit the holy places in Navadvip as opposed to, I guess, where they're originally located?
I can't, it doesn't say that exactly, but one could think that could be the reason. He doesn't mention that because it could be that Navadvip is always that way, or it could be, as you say, as consistent with what was said, that those other holy places are losing some of their strength during the Kali Yuga, and whereas Navadvip is strong, very strong in Kali Yuga. But he doesn't say specifically, so I can't say. But it could be that way, as you point out. It could be quite well.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, Mother Sita was that a raised hand or raised finger?
Yeah, yes. I was trying to find and I couldn't find, and where we were reading, it's one of the places it says, if someone leaves their body here, definitely goes to Goloka.
Yes. So you want to go there? Yeah, sure, that's fine.
I want to go.
And that is, I mean, they're devotee, they're not devotee, they're there. If they, well, their animal body.
You know what Srila Prabhupada said about the animals in Vrindavan?
Right.
What did he say?
They get delivered.
Well, he said that they were people, devotees or others who died, but they had committed offenses, right? So they first took birth. They have to first take birth as animals there in Vrindavan, and then they get delivered. So, but as we noted, that in Navadvip, the offenses aren't accruing to people. So apparently, we're just reading what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, but apparently, since they don't accrue offenses here in Navadvip, these 9 islands, Mayapur and the other islands, they don't have to be, even if they don't have to worry about that.
Wow.
Although Srila Prabhupada wanted to pass away in Vrindavan, for others it might be, others are us offenders, it might be better the other way, Navadvip, at least according to that view. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vishnu Gada Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Madhukar.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank
So
you.
we'll reconvene here tomorrow. 5 o'clock is Bhagavad Gita, and then 5:30 we'll continue on the last islands of Navadvip Dham Parikrama.
Haribol. Go
Do we
Haribol.
have
Also tonight,
to-
not too far
Yes.
from now, we have Srila Prabhupada
Okay.
Vilamrita reading, 7 o'clock. We're going to take a quick break and then rejoin us at that time.
There's Brahma Samhita also.
And Brahma Samhita at 6:45.
Yeah. Okay. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.